Chapter 9. On Her Own. As Sue stumbled away from the smoldering ruins of Dan's home, a part of her died inside. It didn't matter that they hadn't been close. Dan had mistreated her during their short time together, making her do all his domestic chores. Still, his house had felt like a safe haven from the terrors of this broken world. Now it sat in a pile of ashes and rubble, with Dan's corpse standing guard. She cursed herself for running away and leaving Dan alone at the mercy of the raiders, a compassionless crew. He paid the price for her cowardice. But deep in her heart, she knew she had no choice. The raiders would have killed her along with him. If they hadn't killed her, then she'd face a fate worse than death. The realization of this outcome didn't dissipate the guilt. Fear of being alone, facing the continued threat of raiders, crushed her. The emptiness grew inside of her with each passing moment. Before Dan had lost his mind, he had been a kind man. They talked about surviving together and had made plans for their future. Not as lovers, but as a trusted companion, watching each other's backs. Now she found herself all alone in this dangerous world, with no one to talk to or to help her. No resources or roof to keep the weather off her. What would she do now? She moved toward an unknown destination, hoping to find some kind of shelter or refuge, a safe place where she could let her guard down. Her eyes searched the horizon for any dangers awaiting her. The unknown road stretched out before her, a twisted path through a world gone mad. With every step, she prayed to anyone who might listen for a glimmer of hope. Sue needed a break. Some good luck for a change. The blisters on Sue's tired, aching feet caused her to limp, a strange stagger step, making her look like a roaming zombie. Her stomach complained, growling for the 100th time like a rabid dog. Shadows lengthened as the sun sunk toward the horizon. Sue feared the many dark houses surrounding Dan's place. An encounter with another desperate survivor like herself, or the raiders who drove her out, could hide behind any of the doors. That's why she found herself in a desolate area with no structures to protect her. A total wasteland, even before the attack. Hope of finding a sanctuary surged through her as the fading sunlight reflected ahead of her. She picked up her pace, ignoring the blisters on her feet along with her growling stomach. Put the pain behind her. After felt like several hours of walking, Sue stumbled upon an abandoned gas station. A half-dozen cars sat around the building in a haphazard manner. Some blocked the gas pumps, which showed no signs of recent activity. A convenience store occupied the small building at the back of the property. Most people would have called the design dated 10 years ago. Shop Mar read the faded sign hanging on the front of the building. A large T, in the same faded color as the other letters, laid on the sidewalk leading toward the front door. Windows that hadn't been cleaned this decade, peeling paint, and a sagging roof killed her enthusiasm. Her heart pounded with excitement as she pushed the creaking door open. The sound of silence echoed in her ears. Murky light filtered through the filthy windows, casting shadows through the space. But even in the dim light, she noticed someone had ransacked the store. She imagined the store hadn't been a prize before the intrusion. Sue sneezed in the musty smell. Dust motes floated through the air. Cobwebs stretched across the corners of the building. At least she had a roof over her head and walls to surround her. An adequate shelter for her to rest. She felt too exhausted and hungry to keep walking. Sue needed a break. After clearing the building, Sue searched for anything useful. She found a working flashlight, 3 bottles of water, 2 sports drinks, a dozen cans of assorted soda, 4 bags of stale chips, 6 pieces of beef jerky, and a sawed-off side-by-side shotgun with 10 extra shells. Not a bad haul, considering the chaos inside the store. She ate her fill of the junk food before retiring to a musty-smelling couch in an office in the back of the store. Sue strained, pushing a metal 4-drawer filing cabinet in front of the door. After being satisfied with the blockade, she loaded the breech of her new weapon. Even after taking all these precautions, she knew it would be a night of fitful sleep. As she tossed and turned, her eyes popped open for the millionth time. The murky darkness inside the office prevented her from knowing the time. She wished for an outside window to give her a clue. Instead, Sue took in the musty smell of the worn-out, filthy office where she slept, a gigantic step down from Dan's guest bedroom. Even though this place sucked, Sue felt a sense of pride in surviving on her own. The trick would be to last another day. Take it one day at a time, as the old saying goes. She sat still, listening for any noises. Sue would feel pretty stupid to come face to face with a raider after congratulating herself on surviving. After straining her ears, she heard nothing out of the ordinary. Sue retrieved her snack food, eating a poor excuse for breakfast. Another long day of walking lay ahead of her, and she needed all the calories she could find. With any luck, she'd find a permanent refuge today. Fear of the unknown still plagued her, but she hadn't lost all hope yet. After finishing her meager rations, she shoved the filing cabinet aside, passing into the small store. Everything looked the same as it had yesterday. A mess. The same chaos remained, stuff thrown everywhere. She had worried for nothing about being discovered overnight. Nothing of any value remained inside this nasty store. Nobody would pay it any attention. Her euphoria about surviving her first night alone made her slappy. She didn't bother looking before clearing the barricade in front of the store's entrance. As she burst through the door, she ran into 2 men and a woman, all 3 armed. Sue jerked the barrels of the sawed-off up, pointing them at the group. "Whoa, easy does it. We don't want anyone to get hurt." An older man with salt and pepper hair stood with his hands up, palms facing towards Sue. His face and the tone of his voice showed kindness. The other man and woman had looks of disgust plastered across their faces. They stood with their hands at their sides, glaring at her, if looks could kill. "I'm not looking for trouble, just trying to survive." Sue spoke, pointing the gun at the 3 interlopers. She did the math, knowing they possessed more people than she had ammo in her shotgun. She regretted leaving the pistol in her backpack. "Neither are we. My name's Tom. This is Bob and Jenny. We have a camp nearby with other survivors. We're out looking for supplies. None of us knew anyone was inside." Tom sounded sincere, but she sensed something was off with the other 2. Sue wanted to find a place with others, but didn't know who to trust. Her stomach churned. She swallowed the bile rising in her throat. "How do I know you're telling me the truth?" "If you turn the barrel of that shotgun away from me, then we could take you there, and you can see for yourself. We can enjoy a meal together, and you could decide if it's for you or not. You can keep your stuff, including the gun." While pondering the offer, Sue lowered the barrel. A place to stay with other survivors sounded good. As she ran a decision around in her brain, Sue dropped her aim toward the ground, an unintended side effect of deep thinking. When she looked back, she noticed only the 2 men standing before her. Jenny was gone. "Hey, where's—" A sharp blow to the back of her head preceded the darkness of unconsciousness.